Welcome to Colorful Journeys of Success. Claire Mullen, producer, host, and author of Color Wheeling for Success, explores with her guests the stages of success in their lives. This show highlights leaders, teachers, coaches, mentors, and even parents who are role models who help change our world. How have you succeeded, and who was your teacher and inspiration? Now, who are the people you teach and inspire? Listen to and watch our fascinating guests as they share colorful stories of success and how they help inspire. Now, here's Claire, the color wheeling lady and our host.
Welcome to Colorful Journey of Success. I'm so glad that you joined us because tonight we're going to be talking about photography. We have an absolutely fantastic guest. He's a professional photographer, and the pictures he has taken I'm just so impressed. I am really impressed. Photography is so important to all of us in so many different ways. It's my pleasure tonight to welcome Mr. Bill Clearlake. Bill,
Hi.
I'm so glad that you joined us.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Well, you have a very interesting story. When you were talking about growing up, so success story. What was your success story starting when you were really young?
Well, my father gave me a Kodak Brownie camera when I was 8 years old, and I got the photography bug way back then.
A Brownie camera.
A Brownie camera. And so my earlier photos, I still keep them around. And then later on, my father became a television producer and started working out of a public TV station, WQED in Pittsburgh, and I started volunteering there. And I was on the lighting crew for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood as a volunteer, so I got a chance to work very closely with Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
Really, really
What
wonderful.
was Mr. Rogers really like?
Really wonderful person. He's exactly the way he is on television, very gentle nature, and very devoted to child development. And when he wasn't on the air, he would spend his spare time either teaching about child development or attending seminars and classes on child development. That was his whole life.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Okay, but then you went progressing forward. You went to college, and
before that, I also worked for my father's television production company as a production assistant, and he also had a modeling studio where he trained models for an agency in New York. So I got a chance to work with models. I worked with his photography studio. I learned to operate cameras and mix chemicals to process film. So a lot of the background in photography was very early on in life. Then I came out here to California in the late 70s, and I started going into college out here. I attended Academy of Art College, in fact, and took photography lessons there. In particular, natural and available light photography. Basically being able to take photographs in any kind of lighting situation, literally from candlelight to a full studio like this.
Amazing.
So it was really good background in photography.
But I understand you were a special person, though, and something about the newspaper, or?
Well, yes. This was later on. I attended Academy of Art College more recently, 2002, 2003, and studied photojournalism there and got a certificate in multimedia digital arts. And during that time, I became editor-in-chief of the San Jose City College Times.
Oh.
And so during that time, we won 11 statewide awards for Journalism Association of Community Colleges, which was a record at that time. That record has actually been beaten by the same school. So they had 18, the last time I looked, they had won 18 awards.
Yeah, right. Fantastic.
So they're keeping the ball rolling for me, so that's good.
Good. So moving forward, then you started your actual business, right?
Yes. I started my actual business, and I do a variety of different types of photography because I've been doing it for such a long time and doing photography for different types of people and different kinds of situations. So it was natural for me to not really have a single specialty, but to do a lot of different things because for one thing, I have a lot of different interests.
Yes.
And I'm one of the few people that really loves photographing weddings. And so maybe we'll show some wedding photos. And I like doing some of the ones that are maybe a little bit unusual, a little bit off the wall.
The unique ones.
The unique ones. I'm probably one of the first photographers to shoot gay weddings. I've done 3 already so far.
Oh, really?
And so there's a couple that we might have a photo of. I've also done a Jewish wedding.
A Jewish wedding?
Yes. Maybe we can see a picture of that. Here we go. I think that was up for a minute. And And then a Mormon wedding.
A Mormon wedding.
And it was a mixed couple. And so their wedding was done kind of the European style, and then for their reception they went into the traditional Indian garb. So that's a really, really nice, really beautiful ceremony, and really, really sweet people.
Oh, that's wonderful. It'd be so exciting to be there and at those receptions, because each one would be so different.
Oh yes, absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
But weddings,
and also different styles. The flow of the weddings are very different too.
yeah, but the weddings, that's not your only specialty.
Oh no, it's certainly not. I also do portraits, so I do executive portraits, and so you'll see one of those there. And I also have this one, which is Ronnie, who I've known for a few years, and this is a portrait for her business cards and brochures. So I do that kind of work also.
You know, that's very important to have a really valuable, a very spectacular picture for a business card and brochure and so forth.
Right, and social media. There are a lot of people
Yes.
that are on LinkedIn, for instance, and on Facebook, and they're representing their business through these social media, and it pays to have a really good photo of yourself, because it shows that you're really professional and that you really care about those kind of details. People look for that, I think.
Very good. And so I think you also mentioned the fact that you help coach.
Yes, I do. I do actually help coach people, and one of the things that I do in coaching is to help people who aren't necessarily comfortable in front of a camera or not necessarily consider themselves photogenic to actually become comfortable in front of a camera in any kind of situation. And that means in a studio setting, or in a social setting, or when they're at a podium giving a speech, that sort of thing. And if there's a news photographer, like I would be sometimes, or photographing for a Chamber of Commerce event, for instance, where someone's at a podium and they're giving a speech, I need a picture of them for the local paper. It helps if they're comfortable and confident enough to give me a good photo that it can go in the paper. Otherwise, that picture doesn't get used, and they miss out.
Interesting. So you can edit the pictures too, though, right?
Well, I can do some editing, but there's some things I can't fix. If a person's hiding from the camera, and they're looking down at a piece of paper, or they're looking away from the camera, I can't really fix that.
That's true. That's true.
Right.
That's true. So, okay, but you also mentioned, I think, what were the other types of pictures that we were going to be showing?
Oh, I also do model portfolios, and I've worked with a lot of models.
Describe what is model portfolio. Describe what that is.
Okay, what that is you have a man or woman, a young person, or even older people who want to go into modeling, or who are already in modeling and they need to upgrade their portfolio. They'll go to a photographer and they'll do a set of photos, that usually around a particular theme or a particular look that they'll need to help promote themselves as a model.
I have a question about that. When you have a picture for a business card or YouTube or something like that, right here, at what point, how much of the head should be shown, or I'm not sure. Is there a rule of thumb?
There's no real exact rule of thumb, but generally you want the photo to show the person's face clearly and not have a lot of distracting elements. And if you can do that, then you're probably going to be talking about maybe about from mid-chest up. Okay.
All right. And head to the side?
That depends.
Or is right dead center?
That depends on the person, because some people actually look better from one side or the other, and some people actually, rarely, but some people actually do look better straight on. And it depends on the way their face is shaped, the symmetry, bone structure, and also lighting plays a really big part in that. A little slight lighting change can really change the way a person looks. And so that's one of the things that I've learned, is how to use lighting and how to use posing to get the best out of a subject.
And it takes a real professional photographer to know that.
I think so.
Yes. And I know that we're going to do another show, and it will be more on the equipment and so on and so forth, some of those types of deals. But I wanted this show to kind of like introduce you and help the viewers learn more about photography, all the different types of photography, maybe staging for a real estate.
Right. Well, real estate photography is one of the types of photography I do. And I think maybe we have an example of that.
Well, let's see.
See if that will.
I have one picture. You had so many pictures. Oh my. So why don't you hold that?
Okay, let's see. You able to
Right
see
here.
that one? Right about there. There we go.
No, here you're going to look at me.
Okay.
You look at me.
Okay.
All right. So it's a picture of a room that has been staged.
Right.
And so this, by staging, and I've been to a lot of open houses, and it really makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yes.
It really does.
I would say that anybody who's serious about selling a piece of real estate should have it professionally staged, because it really does make a huge difference in how the photos look. And that's my job as a photographer, is to try to make the place look its best, which is hard to do if the place isn't staged properly.
Yes, interesting. And so you work together with the decorators.
Yes, and sometimes hand in hand. I mean, even down to the details as to maybe that lamp should be over here. Maybe that painting is too big for that section of the wall. Maybe we should do something smaller. Things like that.
And when you get into color coordination and things like that,
I usually leave that to the decorators. I let them do that, because that's their field of expertise.
right?
They'll know what looks good. But sometimes, in terms of camera angles and things like that, proportions of things sometimes, depending upon camera angles, can look a little bit off, and so that's where I might come in and suggest little minor changes.
So a new photographer, a young photographer just graduating college or whatever, wanting to go into this particular profession, do you have anything to say to them as far as how much what areas of photography to specialize in?
Well, first of all, I would say take lots of photos. I would say don't worry about specializing in something initially. Take lots of photos, learn the craft, learn the equipment, learn what an f-stop and shutter speed and ISO and those relationships are. Really understand what photography is first, get the fundamentals down, and then as they develop and learn different things, they'll begin to find their niche as they go along. Because some people might be really good at doing portraits, some people might be really good at doing weddings, some people might be finding something completely different.
Okay, so I know we talked about so many different things, but Colorful Journey of Success, the show itself, is not only the success of the person, which you are obviously very successful, but it's also how you help other people succeed. So you have helped a lot of people succeed through photography, haven't you?
Well, yes, I have. Yes, I have.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Well,
I think Brittany?
Well, Brittany, yes.
This
well,
picture
besides my wife and her being a very supportive partner in my photography, this young lady, Brittany, has been really instrumental in helping me define my style as a photographer. And we worked together for about 5 years. And she's done everything from, she's been a model for me.
Can the camera maybe zoom in on this particular picture?
And yes, there we go. And yes, she's modeled for me. She's done hair and makeup for me. She's helped me with staging on photo shoots and advising me on camera angles, because she's an artist herself. She's actually a trained artist.
So she's helped you, and you've helped her, both of you.
Yes.
What a team.
Well, she was in cosmetology school, and just was really having a hard time. She's really struggling through it, and I encouraged her to stick with it, and she got her license. And the last time I heard from her, she was just coming back from LA doing makeup and hair at a shoot down there in LA.
Oh, fantastic.
So she's doing well.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what about this young lady? This woman?
That's an executive portrait, and it just shows what I can do in terms of doing portrait work for somebody who wants to further their professional career.
The lighting looks beautiful. I mean,
thank you.
A soft smile. The hair looks very nice. It's, I think it's absolutely a delightful picture, and I can see it on a business card, a brochure, or even YouTube. And
oh, sure, exactly. That's the idea.
Yeah, that's the idea.
That's the idea.
And you call that the professional.
That's a
modeling.
That's a professional portrait, or an executive portrait. It's a little bit different from a model portfolio portrait. That's more like what this is down here. So that would be a professional model who's looking for something that he or she can use to further their career as a model. And that's a little bit of a, you can see that it's a little bit more stylized. It's cropped in much tighter, so it's more of a glamour shot than a portrait. Than a portrait would normally be.
You certainly know a lot of interesting people, don't you?
Oh, yes, I do. That's one of the great things about my job, because I work a lot of events too.
Wow. Black makeup.
Yes.
Oh, black lipstick.
Black lipstick. So, charity events, private parties, I do those as well. Some large events. I'm one of the TEDx San Jose photographers.
Explain what TEDx is.
Well, there's TED Talks, which is technology, engineering, and design, and basically they bring the latest, greatest minds, and they give a talk, about a 20-minute presentation on what their new discovery or their new invention or their new idea is. And then the local version of that, which is all done volunteers, is TEDx. So the X is the unknown quantity.
Okay.
And so so each location, each city throughout the world has its own TEDx events. So I'm one of the photographers for TEDx San Jose.
Fantastic.
So I got a chance to interact with some of the most talented, most brilliant people on the planet, right here in San Jose.
And you're helping them become.
Well, I'm helping help them get their word out about what they do, and so that's another way that I help people.
Another form of photography.
Yes.
Right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
And let's see, what have we, what about photography, what about family portraits?
I do family portraits as well, and individual portraits. This would be considered more like an individual portrait or something more like a candid portrait as opposed to something more formal, like done in a studio.
Yes, I can see this very professional.
Right.
And this is
It's a little more real.
dramatic and...
Yes, exactly. Right.
Yes.
And the idea is that this one you want to show the person as being confident and professional, and this one you want to show more character and more like what the person is like, more casual, somebody that you might want to know.
Right.
Right. This is somebody you might want to do business with.
I'm sure that this woman could tell a lot of stories.
Oh, I'm sure she could. I'm sure she could.
So, all right. So when you're helping other people succeed, in a sense, you're helping your models become very comfortable in front of a camera.
Yes.
And so if you're going to create that portfolio, approximately how many pictures do you think would be appropriate?
Usually around 10. And basically what you want is for each style that you're going for, you want at least 1 or 2 photos for each particular style.
I see. Okay.
Right. But not more than 10. After that, people just kind of get bored of looking at them.
Oh, okay. All right.
You want to keep them interested.
So what
you want to
about...
make sure they're absolutely the best photos for each particular style that you're doing.
And maybe one in black and white and the other is... does that make a difference if one is
Right now, these days, people are really big on color.
Okay.
So I wouldn't recommend that anyone do black and white unless it's a really extraordinary photo. It would have to really be something that stands out.
And what about the pictures that go to like the newspaper?
Newspaper photos, typically they're in color these days. If the editor wants to make them black and white, it's very easy to reduce the saturation and make them black and white if that's appropriate for their newspaper. But generally speaking, everybody submits in color.
All right. And certainly with the equipment that we have, it's so easy. Right?
Yes,
it's so easy.
It's push button nowadays.
Yes. You mentioned something about, what was the site that you suggested downloading? Was this afternoon you were talking about a particular site
for
the computer.
For organizing photos and things? Is that what you're talking about? Well, Picasa. Picasa. It's a it's free for one thing. And a lot of amateur and even professional photographers use it because it automatically organizes and categorizes your folders of photographs by year. So it makes it very easy to find something that you took a year ago or 2 years ago or 10 years ago, which I find very helpful because I have photos that are spread out over 6 different hard drives. And so I can run Picasa and it'll catalog all of them. And so if a client calls me up and says, do you remember that photo shoot that you did at my party 10 years ago? Well, we can't find the CD. Could you create another one for me? I can quickly bring up Picasa, go to that year, find that particular event and produce the photos and burn them in a fresh CD, which I've done actually just fairly recently.
Is it easier to go by year or by type? Like, I'm kind of wondering in my mind, would it be easier to, can you actually catalog them in two different ways?
Well, Picasso organizes things in a timeline.
All right.
But within that timeline, in other words, when you name your folders, you can name your folders whatever you want, and it'll use those folder names. So if you want to create categories for yourself under each year, for instance, it'll do that. Of course, it does that. It does the year thing automatically because it just reads when the folders and files are created and automatically catalogs them for you. So it's really convenient.
Well, I hope this is really helpful to the viewers because a lot of people have so many more pictures now on their iPhones, their iPads, that you can't even you can't even use it anymore because it's just there's not enough storage in the cloud or whatever. Is that where you can you speak to that?
Well, storing things in the cloud is really good for backup. I tend to take some of my things, and if it's not really important, it's my own personal stuff, I use Flickr.
Flickr.
Right.
Okay.
I use Flickr and put all my personal stuff there. It's easy to locate, easy to catalog.
So it's cataloged not by year or date, it's by
It's also on a timeline. It's also on a timeline.
All right.
But you can also select categories or types and put them in there, but then the categories are on a timeline.
I think it would be
Which
very
again,
helpful.
it makes it easy to really it makes it easy to find things because if I know that I'm looking for a photo that I took 3 years ago, it's easy for me to go back, through the folders by category and by year and find something. Now, I also use SmugMug. There's a lot of other places where people can upload things.
SmugMug?
SmugMug, SmugMug.
MUG.
Right.
SmugMug.
SmugMug. And I use that if I'm doing a photograph of a party, for instance. I can take the photos, I can upload them to SmugMug and get a link that I can send to the host, and they can share that link with their guests. They can view the photos, they can download photos, they can order prints, gift items. So if somebody wants a mouse pad or a T-shirt made, or a refrigerator magnet and things like that, they can order them directly that way. So
okay, well, convenient. Bill, we're kind of like running out of time now. We just have a couple more minutes to go, and I always ask my guests for a word of wisdom. So have you been thinking about your word of wisdom?
Yes, I have. Okay. Yes, I have, and it's something that I actually use in my coaching, and that is the best way to present yourself in front of a camera is to just be yourself.
Be yourself.
Just be yourself.
Okay, and I think that's great. Whether it's photography or whatever event what is going on in your life, your goal is just be yourself.
Be yourself. Nobody can do it better than you.
That's right. That's right. So, I want to really thank you so much because you've given us so much information, and I know, geez, it's amazing how you have, starting as a little boy, helping your father, and moving forward, and you just kind of like taking steps up, and your success, and now you're helping other people succeed. So I congratulate you. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me as a guest.
It's been wonderful. I've learned quite a bit. I have learned a lot.
Thank you. And I've really enjoyed meeting you and talking with you.
Well, I'm just excited. I'm excited for the next show when we talk about cameras.
These things.
These beautiful little things. That looks like it's pretty heavy, but we won't talk about cameras just yet.
Yeah, we'll do that later.
Later. And we'll have a lot of fun. In fact, you're going to help me set up a studio in my home.
Yes.
Is that going to be fun?
It will be.
We'd have a picture of the before and the after.
Yes.
Oh, great. I'd love to interview people in a studio in my home.
Okay.
And it would be really casual, something maybe a 5-10 minute interview on different things, and then shoot it off to YouTube. And
yes,
wouldn't that be fun?
Yes, it would be.
Okay.
And not that hard to do.
Okay. Well, it sounds. I'm not a techie, but you are. So I wish you the best of luck.
Well, thank you very, very much.
I hope you have all of the people that you're helping. I'm sure they're going to be very successful, and you will too.
Well, thank you
continue.
very, very much.
So, again, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming on to Colorful Journey of Success.
Thank you.
Oh, gosh. Well, we have 2 minutes more.
We do.
Hey, how about another wow? Another word of wisdom.
Wow, another wow. Let me see.
We've got be yourself.
Well,
Images. Something about
my
images.
tagline is when your image matters.
I love it. When your image,
When your image matters.
matters. Great.
And when doesn't it?
That's a good point. That's a good thought.
Yes.
When it doesn't.
When doesn't it?
And you have, that you have such a nice personality. I'm sure that your models have so much fun with you.
Oh, they typically do. Yes. And
Yeah.
particularly the ones that have worked with you for a while. It's hard to even get through a shoot because we're just mostly just laughing and joking and
Yeah.
comparing music, and because I love music.
Yeah. And that helps them relax
Of
so
course.
they can be themselves. Right?
Exactly.
That's right. So anyway, thank you again so much. And geez, I hope that the people, the viewers, how many people are going to be now photographers after listening to this show, right? So thanks so much for joining Colorful Journey of Success. And if you'd like to be interviewed, I would love to talk to you. My name is Claire Mullen, producer and host of this show. And it's all about being successful. Be yourself. And what was the other one?
When your image matters.
When your image matters. Have fun and have a great time. Go out and take pictures and have fun. And next time when we have the next show interviewing him, Bill Clearlake, we're going to talk about cameras. See you later. Bye.
That's great.